Alright, if you got a Sequoia, I don't know if they changed over the years, if they finally got it or not, but on my 04, the rear lights turn on when the doors are open, if you set it for door. Obviously the front ones do not. So today, I'm gonna run a wire from the lights here to the front ones. That way they get triggered and turned on. As a bonus feature, I'm also gonna not draw a wire from here, but from the wherever is closest, probably at the fuse panel, find where the source for this, what triggers this, or I might just find something else that gets triggered, to also turn on my rock lights. That way they'd be like courtesy lights if I ever unlock the doors with a remote. The interior lights turn on, and it'd be pretty cool if the rock lights turn on with it. And there'll be a couple little things I gotta do so that that way the systems still work independently and not backfeed the trigger for it. Alright, if you have one of these DVD players and never taken the covers off before, like I haven't, you just gotta take these plastic covers, the plastic lens covers, and there's 2 screws that holds this cover on, and then you just pull on it and it pops off. They're just held up by these little clips right here. This one, I think there's 2 in the front, yeah, right here and here, and it just dropped down. That allows you to get access behind here, and the wiring that I'm going to be after would be right here. So there's no need to mess with the DVD player. Just gotta take this off, and then 2 screws, and you'll have access to the wiring we'll need. And from there, we'll have to run it from back here to the front. Fortunately, I have the sunroof, so I'm gonna have to run the wires off to one side to get it there. I could pull the trigger wire, or the wire that trips the light, from the kick panel or something like that, but then I would have to run it through the A-pillar, which isn't a big deal, but it'd just be easier if I just go from point A to point B instead of trying to go from the dash up to the A-pillar and over, which I've already done for some other wiring I've done in the past, which, like I said, it wasn't hard, but I'm just gonna go this route. So yeah, the wiring that we'll be needing will be here, and also another thing is, there is at least a good, I don't know, it's like 3 inches of space between the roof and the headliner. Probably need space for the sunroof here. And also, if you don't know, there's actually ducking for the rear, and there's duckings also. Actually, it's ducking. Yeah, I think the duckings all ran up in here as well, and it's all connected. All right, after poking around with the voltmeter, figured out the white wire on here. So the red has 12 volts and the white wire is ground, but it's grounded out through either the switch on here, or off of the door switch. And once it sees ground, it lights up. So what I need to do is take the white wire here and run it to the front. And just like at the front, we have 2 white wires on the light, one here and one here. These also see voltage, not quite 12 volts, it's just sitting idle. It's around 5-6 volts when I measured it, and it's basically looking for a ground. The green on here are the constant 12 volts, so there's constant power to it. It just needs a ground for it to light up. So when you hit the button on the switch, it's essentially just giving it a ground. And this goes to 0 volts because now it has a ground, because power runs in and it keeps flowing until it finds a ground. And once the light takes the load, takes the 12 volts, then 0 volts should come back out the other side, and that's what trips the light. That's what makes the light come on. So basically, I just got to take the white wire from back there and run it here, run it to the front, and take these 2 white wires here. I'm going to splice them together and make one connection so that it feeds both lights. Before I can do that, I'm actually going to install a diode. The diode I want to say I'm using is a 1 amp diode, and that's going to allow it to supply a ground. But if I ever trip, you know, hit the ground or hit the light switch on here, it's not going to provide a ground back to the light and kind of, you know, turn on all my lights. I want it to only feed to the front and not backwards, and vice versa. Oh no, yeah, just not feed backwards. All right, so now that I get the game plan, my goal is to run the wire along here and out the side over here and then back over because of the sunroof. So all you have to do is take this, what we're gonna do is remove the visor. There's a little Phillips screwdriver here, and there should be at least 1 or 2 Phillips here. And then in my case, I have this cover here, like that. You just put a little screwdriver on the bottom, it pops open like so. And there's a screw in here that holds the headliner up. I think the main reason this is here is because there's a side current airbag, so it needed a little bit of resistance to keep the headrest up, or the headliner up, so when the airbag blows, it only rips open the sides here and not blow the whole headliner down at your face, defeating the purpose of the airbag. If you guys didn't already know, it might be a little hard to do with this, but I used to work for Toyota and did a lot of interior work, so we get these pocket screwdrivers on these tool trucks. I think you can buy these off Amazon now. But I had so many of these things, I decided to just make one of these dedicated screwdrivers just for these covers, because I did a lot of interior work when I worked at Toyota. So this makes it easy to kind of just fish under here. Like I said, this might be a little hard. I'm not used to doing this on video or holding a phone. Just gotta you want to just catch, you don't want to stick it too far in, because you're just trying to catch the lip of this cover. And they're just held up by clips. You can see there's a little stress right here from me just doing this from before. And all you have to do is just, there it is, see? You can see there's a, I don't know if you can catch that, but the cover is pretty thin. So you just want to catch underneath the, just where the cover is, and catch under it. Allow you to pull the cover off. And if we just work our way, there you go. So you can see it's a thin cover. There's a clip at the front, and there's a clip at the back, and the sides right here too, where I initially started, and one on the back over here. So that's all it is to take the cover off, and 2 screws you take off, and this visor comes off. I probably could just fish it in, you know, with the, what I'll be using is probably most likely a coat hanger, and just kind of fish the wire. I'm going to be pulling some of the this weather strip down. This will give me, this will show you guys now. So just gotta pull this weather door seal, I guess that's what they call these. Super easy to pull off and put back on. You can see right here where the airbag is, and this will allow me to get, oh, there is an airbag in there here. So there is a full side current airbag. I always thought the current airbag was here and it blew sideways, but no, it blows down, which I guess that would make more sense. But I'll be running my wire through here. Just gotta be careful because there is an airbag, so I'm gonna try to keep the wire either above it or not, and in a way where it doesn't impede the airbag from flying, doing its job, where it is to come straight down to keep the windshield from shattering in your face. So back here, we'll do the same thing, pull back on this, and that'll give me plenty of access in here. Oh man, another side. I didn't know there was side airbags in the rear too on this thing. What the heck? This is an 04, and it's got side current airbags in the rear too. Holy smokes, man. Good thing not a lot of people know about these Sequoias. So yeah, I'll be running a coat hanger most likely over the airbag. See if I can get a video of that in a second once I get everything all set up. But yeah, so I'll be dropping this. This will give me a little bit more access behind, so I can fish my wires through. Now looking at this, I don't know if I really don't want to mess with the airbags and have the wires entangled in it, but we'll run with it and just be conscious of that and work our way around this. We'll do a full how-to, or at least try to do a full how-to video on this. So once you get the 2 screws off, you know, automatically think you're gonna pull it down, but you can see it's hooked right here on the back side. You can see the hook right there. So what you want to do is, let's get another angle. What you want to do is pull, so it'll be hooked in here, and all you do is yank it back, and then it'll come down. And since this has lights in the mirrors, there is a wire there. Just disconnect just a little clip, click it, and then this thing will drop down, and you get the visor out of your way. All right, after a little further review, decided that I'm gonna try a different approach. Probably better for you guys as well. Seems like it'll be a lot easier, especially if you have the sunroof. If you have the sunroof, I didn't really want to pull on this. I probably could pull on this and reinstall it. It's the same type of seal as this, where it just snaps on. I've done these millions of times, so I know how to snap it, or these things are easy to put back in. These are same thing, but I just don't want to deform it or mess with it too much if I don't have to. But if you peel back on here, you can actually just see where the headliner is. See right there? And so I'll be able to run a wire right through here, and I'm just gonna have it out here and kind of just get it all ran, or you know, where it needs to go. Then I'll shove the wire back under it. That way the wire will run the shortest route, and easiest route would be just from here, and it'll just be like right behind the headliner through here, come around this corner here, keep coming, and then through here, and then there's tons of room through here. Then I'll be able to get the wire back to the front. Now, reason why I'm thinking of going this route is because this will avoid all the airbags that's on the side there, because airbags are located at the edge of the headliner, and if I keep the wiring on the inside, I don't have to try to make sure my wiring stays above it. Plus, there'll be less stuff to remove, because if I keep going towards the original plan out here, for me, I'm just anal, and I do interior work, so I don't mind dropping the handlebar, pulling the plastic here, because I know how to do it. I do interior repairs when I was at Toyota. So, and then this one I might drop, because you gotta take the handles off. I can see I've already started taking the covers off. But you know, so I don't have a problem doing that. But the airbags is what's kind of, I just really don't, you know, I don't want to mess with too much of how the vehicle is built, or how, you know, how it's supposed to operate. So we're going to try this new approach. So I'll get the wires all set up and do another clip of that. Right, so I started with a wire, and I just fished it through here, and as I was pushing on this, it just pulled the headliner down past the trim seal here, which is not a big deal, because all you do is just pull back on this and it'll cover it right back up, which I guess I can do now that I have the wire in here. And you can see I'm just going to be able to, you know, fish it in here. As I pull back on this, I'll be able to just shove it behind the headliner and into the headliner, or I can just leave it in the trim area, but don't want a little bulge on here. I mean, it wouldn't be that bad. Actually, look, you can see I can just do that. And so you can go that route if you want. I just don't know if over time this wire might want to show itself, so I'm going to clean this up and actually put it behind the headliner. That way I know for sure it's not going to want to pop out anytime. So now that I'm already here, do the same thing. I'm just going to pull back on here from the inside, and I'll be able to pull down the headliner just enough, and I'll fish this wire through, and then it'll be all ran to the front. And that'll give me plenty of wire to work with, and also I will be doing a little bit of soldering of a diode that I'll be doing here in the front. All right, now we're going to do some wire splicing into the factory harness. I did a lot, like I said, I did a lot of interior work at Toyota. I was actually I think I was probably the only one at the time that was interior aftermarket accessory guy as well. So I got tons of, I used a lot of these T-clips. I did a lot of alarm installs, low jacks and whatnot. But get a couple options for wire splicing. This is what you call a T-tap, where you just go over the wire that you want to tap into and just bite down on it, and it'll just lock itself in place. It gives you this little connection here that allows you to take this and plug right into it. I like this method because it allows you to connect and disconnect as needed if you need, you know, service work, whatever it may be. Then there's the other method where this one, you fit both wires into this little opening here, and then you close it. Once you close it, it connects the two to wire together. It's a pass-through, so the wire you're splicing into, you know, if this is the wire you're splicing into, you'll be able to keep the wire whole and just run this whole thing through it, and it'll sit inside it. Sit inside it like this. It's hard to do this with one hand, but and then the wire that you want to, you know, use as the one to tap, like this one right here, is the one you want to tap into this wire here. You just run it right alongside of it. In front of it, there's two holes. So the one that you bottoms out. So it looks like you want to the inside wire, inside pocket of this right here is the wire you take, and you just shove it in. Let's see which side's closed. You just shove it in there, you know, bottom out, because there's a cap on this side. And then the wire you want to splice, you just put this over it, and allow it to pass through, and then you close it. This method's a little smaller. It takes up less space, because I used to do these a lot, and these things kind of take a little bit of space depending on where you're at. This is a little bit cleaner, but you don't get you can disconnect again. All you do is pull the plastic cover off and pull this pin off. Then you can take the wire back off. There's not as much of a quick disconnect with this version versus this one. For this case, this pod would work best, because it's not something I'll probably plan on disconnecting anytime soon. But I don't have a lot of these, and this is probably not I guess this one would still work. So the color of these colors matter or mean something. There's meant for the gauge of wire. I think some of this one says 22 to 18 gauge wire. Basically, it just changes the size of this little section right here, changes the width of it. Whereas this one, I think it's the bigger. This one's this one 18 to 14 gauge wire. That's basically the size of the wire. So obviously the opening is bigger. Same thing with this. So if you get one that's like, even there's yellow one, the yellow one's the next one up, it's even bigger. If you get one that's too big, you know, when you put this over the wire, because there's a protective shield, you know, plastic shield over it. If you bite into this and this thing is too big of an opening, it'll still crimp onto it and close, but you're not going to have you might not have a good connection or a connection at all. So you want to make sure you buy, you know, you run the right one for the size of the wire you're going to be using. Since I'm just going to try and match up. This is the wiring. I have a lot of scrap wire, so this is the size of the wire I'll be using. It matches similar to the factory wiring. So I'll be going with this setup here. All right, as you can see, I spliced into it, or T-tapped into it. If you want to find these things on Amazon, just type in wire connector splice, and you'll be able to find this version and the other version I had as well. I would buy an assortment size, come in the red, blue, and yellow, so that way you cover all the size of wires if you plan on doing more do-it-yourself projects. So you can see it's spliced in here, and now that the wires ran here, I haven't installed the diode yet, but you can see the doors are open, so the light's on, and then up front right here, the lights are not on. So you can actually test this without the diode yet. So if I just tap this right in here, you can see, I just touch it right here, lights on, off, on, off. So I just got to connect this with a diode between here and the other side as well. And that'll give me, allow these lights to turn on. The reason for the diode is this wire is not grounded yet, and this is what's providing the ground. Now, if my doors were all closed and I go and hit this button, that's going to essentially give this a ground, and also this wire that feeds the back light. And when I push any one of these buttons, it will trip the light in the back. Some of you guys may like that. I prefer independent control like how it used to be, and the goal of this was to basically have all my lights turn on with just the doors opening, but still have independent functions of each of the lights that are in the vehicle. So yeah, we're gonna have to take the two white wires. I'm probably gonna, I don't know, I might splice into it with solder, or I might just do the T connectors and then bring it up to one wire, use one diode, connect it together, and then we'll be in business. All right, so the wire that's running from the back of the vehicle to the front, I got two diodes here. They're 1 amp diodes, like I said before. There's every diode has a stripe on there that tells you the direction of flow. So in my case, I want the flow from the back to the front. So you put the stripe as close to the side where the power is going to start from, and that way it flows out. And now with these diodes, it won't be able to backfeed back to the rear. It will only go forward. You can see, hopefully I can catch this in the video. You can see there's a little stripe right there at the bottom. Reason why there's two is because there's two front lights. So one wire is going to go to the left and one's going to the right dome light. Originally I was going to have just one and then split it to two. But then I realized if I hit the dome light switch on one side, it's actually going to turn on the other side because they're sharing a ground now. So I got it split. Originally I was going to solder it. I did solder it, but a little differently. I've gotten a box of these things I've been wanting to try that are called solder seal wire connectors. It comes with a bunch of different sizes. Basically these are for people, I guess, that don't know how to solder. But they work pretty good. I gotta admit, they use their solder in here, and you just take a heat gun. I use a propane torch that I have, and you just heat this thing up. It doubles as a heat shrink as well. If you want to go a little extra, you can add a little heat shrink on top. This is the kit I use. I bought this from Mako years ago, like I said, when I used to work for Diode. And it's got different attachments. I can actually solder off of this as well. It uses a propane cartridge. You just refill it with butane, I think it's called. Not propane, butane. And yeah, you just gotta refill it. Allows it to, then you can use this. I have the attachment for basically like a heat torch or a heat gun type style. And you can change it out to different styles. You can put this attachment cap over. I think that's the one I should have used. And it's got different tips to solder and stuff like that. So I've soldered a lot with this. This is my soldering tip right here. So there's that way. But yeah, if you don't want to actually do the soldering process, I definitely gotta agree. I gotta admit, it is easier using these. Because then I don't have to hold all these wires up here and try to solder it without, by yourself. All right, I got the diodes soldered in, and I got my wires soldered in on the other half using those wire solder connectors. Definitely makes it a lot easier. I'm going to do a shrink wrap over all this to clean it all up, and then now that I got the two sides, I'm just going to T-tap into the white wire on each side of the light. In my case, right over the light. I'm just going to do it right over the light. I'm going to come back a little bit, tap into it, and same thing on this side. And if everything goes well, the front dome light will turn on when the doors open. Man, that's such a... just can't believe Toyota did it this way. It's ridiculous. All right, got it all wired up. Got it heat shrink back together, the one feed to two diodes, and like I said, it crimped onto the white wires on the light side, right where the bulb is. So it's all there. All my doors are closed. You can see the rear dome light's off. So, and best of all, still got independent control. I leave this one on. and none of the lights on the back turn on like it's supposed to. They all work independently. The rear set to door right now, so what we're gonna do is open the door and see if these turn on. There it is. Look at that. So the door's closed. It is on a time delay. You can see the rear's on as well. So once the delay goes, these lights should turn off by themselves. So I want to say it's like, I don't know, there it is. Just like how it's supposed to be from the factory, Toyota. Gotta come in and do their work for them. Alright, so we know the Sequoia's front dome lights don't work when you open the door. So after that little modification we did, look at that. Front dome lights turn on now, along with the rear. And bonus, rock lights actually kick on too. Gotta watch the other video for that modification.